Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meaning and Fulfillment in Online Higher Education, the top three factors that deliver the exceptional student learning experience. My name is Bill Davis. I'm here with Lisa Sims, Nancy DeVore, and Sarah Corpy, and we're here to make a presentation and add some value to the culture of care. So with that said, what I would like to do is just read the abstract here, what we submitted in, so you get a feel for what is coming your way here. And then we're going to introduce the presenters. But this presentation and panel addresses the intersection of three important areas of student success. They include an expanded and intricate level of diversity awareness, the outcomes of positive psychology in higher education, and the application of mattering theory. The goal of this presentation is to work towards strengthening the UAGC culture of care to prioritize the well-being of individuals and foster supportive and compassionate relationships with UAGC learning communities. And again, I have Lisa Sims, who's the Faculty Technology Studies of Business Information Systems here at the Forbes School of Business, Dr. Nancy DeVore, who is a faculty member in the psychology department here at the University of Arizona Global Campus, and Dr. Sarah Corpy, who is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director for the Division of Continuing Studies at the University of Madison, Wisconsin. So with that said, what I would like to do, I'm just going to introduce myself first, and I'm going to turn it over to our presenters here. And all I wanted to say, I'm a program chair in the Forbes School of Business and Technology here at the University of Arizona Global Campus. I've been here 19 years. I've seen a lot of good things in higher education. And I have experience in the PepsiCo system in business, and I transitioned my successful career into higher ed. What I would just like to emphasize is my culture of care quote. Culture of care promotes employee and student well-being, satisfaction, and increases effectiveness and results. It fosters a supportive and inclusive environment where people feel valued, respected, and supported in their personal and professional life. So that's how I view culture care and what I embrace. So with that said, I would just like to go and introduce now, let our panelists introduce themselves, the presenters. So Dr. Sarah Corpy, how about if we just start with you since you're on the top of my screen?
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. I'm Sarah Corpy. As Bill shared, I'm the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director for the Division of Continuing Studies at UW-Madison. I also direct our Learning Engineering Group, which is a team of instructional designers, pedagogic consultants, system admins, and media specialists who design and create online and hybrid learning experience for non-credit learners of all ages. And I'm really excited about the intersection of all of the work that I do and the culture of care. I really believe that co-creating a culture of care is important as it promotes well-being, positive mental health, and academic success for students, faculty, and staff. And this in turn leads to higher retention and success rates and a stronger all-around university community.
Sarah, thank you very much for your time today to present with us, and we are certainly excited to hear your part of the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Sims.
Thank you, Bill. Hello, everyone. As Bill mentioned, I'm Lisa Sims. I'm a faculty member of the Forbes School of Business and Technology Studies Department of the Bachelor's of Business Information Systems program, and also the Web and Mobile App emphasis. I've been with the University of Arizona Global Campus for almost 7 years, and I've been in higher ed for about 16 years. My background is software development and web development. And I really am excited to be here. My culture of care quote is everyone wants to feel a sense of belonging while being understood in any organization. And UAGC, our culture of care, offers this and much more to our students. And I'm going to turn it back over to Bill.
Lisa, thank you. And thank you again for being part of this presentation. And, we're excited to hear what you have to say. And thank you for your time and contributing to the culture of care. Dr. Nancy DeVore. Nancy, tell us a little bit about yourself and your culture of care quote.
Thank you very much, Bill, and it's an honor to be on this team with all of you and presenting today. I'm a business consultant and I'm an associate faculty member at UAGC, and I am interested in bridging the gap between online learning and real life experience. That's the way I teach in my courses, and I teach industrial organizational psychology. So my focus is mostly on the business side of psychology. And my culture of care quote has to do with student well-being, being the center of the culture of care. Online learners in higher ed face very unique stressors and events in life. A culture of care brings respect and understanding to the student and allows them to have an experience that goes beyond the rigid academic milestones.
Nancy, thank you so much. And again, thank you for all you contribute to the University of Arizona Global Campus. You've done so many presentations for us and you always add value. So what an honor to have you here today too. So with that said, let's turn it over to Dr. Nancy DeVore. She's going to talk a little bit about the positive psychology in education. Nancy, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Bill. One idea in creating meaning and fulfillment in higher ed and enhancing the student experience is applied positive psychology. The positive psychology movement of the year 2000 accomplished two important things. First, the need to measure positive traits of people versus just understanding what's wrong and fixing deficits. The second is that problems can be solved through strengths-based actions. And what they've found from different studies that they've conducted over the last 2 decades is that people flourished beyond expectation when positive psychology was applied. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania defined how positive psychology could work toward establishing positive education. For students, the traditional experience of school has been the process of getting marked down for effort, and one is graded based on what was wrong, and they're rarely graded on strengths. In contrast, positive education is the act of placing more emphasis on the student well-being. It also places the student at the center of higher education. The common approach to problem solving in higher ed is to look at the key problems of accountability. For example, low academic performance, low levels of motivation, and retaining students. And the Culture of Care program has gained positive results. And I wondered, though, if there could be even more possible through a different lens of positive psychology. Next slide, please. Consider the term retaining students. For example, the definition of retain is to keep intact or in possession. Positive education suggests rethinking that definition in which the opposite could be true, permitting students to become their best selves in the process of learning. Next slide, please. Appreciative education is also known as strength-based education, and it's based on social constructivism. As John Dewey put it, education is not about being told, but rather an active constructive process. The opportunity for 21st century education may be to apply strength-based versus deficit-based solutions to elevate the experience of learning. Next slide, please. So how do you build a strength-based culture? Well, Cooper Ryder, as cited in Mather and Hume, describe a 6D process. It has 6 different phases to it. The first is disarm. That's just to break down barriers. We're already doing that with the culture of care. The next is discover, understand diverse needs in higher ed, because one size does not fit all. And the idea of dream, consider new options and cultivate openness to new ideas. And design, the act of co-creating like we're doing today and refining it. And then deliver. Take time to build relationships and communicate. Offer sincere positive feedback. And finally, don't settle. Use reflection and strength-based planning to improve. Next slide, please. To adopt a strengths-based approach to higher ed, it can involve busting some myths. I'd have to rely on what my best teachers taught me and then start delivering that in my courses. The truth is, there's no cookie cutter approach. And knowing this gives me a lot of latitude to be and perform with more relevance than my best teachers ever taught me. If you haven't already discovered your top strengths, the Gallup Strength Finder and the Values and Action Inventory, also known as the VIA Strength Survey, can really help to form the basis of this discovery for yourself. Individual strengths can be used to develop one's teaching philosophy, enhance participation with students in discussions, create syllabi, and in seeing new connections. And I really like how Palmer in their book noted that we teach who we are. The more we can recognize and inhabit our strengths, the more we create a sense of belonging, hope, and well-being. Next slide, please. In summary, positive education is the act of identifying and applying strengths to education problems, not just fixing the problems. It starts with motivating and to move away from a deficit model, for example, what's wrong and how do I fix it, to one that here's a concern, how can I apply my strengths to it? And structural response to institutional culture with those 6D phase processes as a catalyst. And there may be more ways to help instructors and administrators identify the use of their strengths to make learning more fun and meaningful that will develop students as people with useful lifetime skills. So Bill, I know you're going to be talking about some things that have to do with those lifetime skills. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. And, it's so nice to see the area of positive psychology growing in higher education. And you remind us of that and the progress we're making. And the only thing I've got to say is keep feeding the positive. The best is yet to come. The more we work at this, the better we are. So with that said, I am going to segue into mattering theory with Lisa Sims. Lisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bill. And if we look at this picture, we see a bunch of people and they're just kind of circling around. And we've all probably felt like this. We probably felt like we were just didn't belong, didn't know where we fit. And so mattering theory is going to address that. And you probably already know what mattering theory is, but I'm going to give it to you even more. Next slide, Bill. Well, mattering theory is the experience of others depending on us, being interested in us, and being concerned with our fate. And being an online institution, this can be difficult compared to the traditional on campus institutions. We have students here that are from all walks of life, different diversities, and so they want to feel like they matter. And as faculty, that is our job to make them feel that they matter. And we do that in a number of ways that I'm going to get into a little bit later. But the mattering theory, Nancy Schlossberg and her colleagues, they did some research back in the 1980s, and they did it based on a physical campus and how students felt a sense of belonging. And so we have a challenge as online educators. How do we incorporate that into the online environment? And from what we've heard from Nancy, also the positive psychology and the mattering theory, they both work kind of hand in hand to help us to not only nurture, but to instill that in our students. Next slide, please, Bill. And so why does it matter? Well, when someone knows that you care, particularly students, it can increase their engagement. They want to do more. They want to reach out to you to gain more knowledge or insight on a particular topic, which improves their grades. And then it also helps with their well-being. Their self-esteem goes up. Their academic success goes up because they know that there's someone who is rooting for them and wants them to succeed and feels like they belong. And it also builds up that resilience. I know that from my own personal experience, when I know someone feels that sense of belonging towards me and wants me to succeed, that makes me want to succeed as well. And so that encourages that personal development in our students that we want to instill in them. And also, since our student population is so diverse, we want to have that inclusivity. We want everybody to feel like they're included and that they belong. And as I mentioned earlier, when you're in an online environment, that can be difficult to do compared to the brick and mortar campuses, but we do an excellent job of that. And once we have all of these things, it shows in the culture. It shows from not only the faculty, from the academic advisors, anyone that a student comes in contact with also supports this and makes students feel like they actually matter. And that can mean a world of difference in the life of a student. Next slide, Bill. And here are some of the ways that the mattering theory is implemented here at UAGC. In our student clubs, I'm the faculty advisor of the Women in STEM Club, and we foster a sense of belonging. We also have the honor societies that also help with that sense of belonging, and the Champs Peer Mentoring Program. That is an excellent program for students that want to feel that sense of belonging with other students and kind of really relate their experiences to each other. The biggest one is graduation. Once they've completed their studies here at UAGC, you get to the end and everyone's there congratulating the students. Faculty are there, letting them know, hey, you did it, you did it. And then we also have UAGC Connect, which is an online platform where students and alumni can get together and network. And then also within the campus classroom, there's opportunities for students and faculty to foster that sense of belonging in each other. So we do a good job of incorporating that mattering theory throughout the UAGC community. Next slide, Bill. And here's a quote that I like, and I think we all can really relate to this. What matters to you defines your mattering. And when we show people that they matter to us, not only in our words and our deeds and our actions, it really resonates with students and it really holds a special place in their hearts. And so we do a good job of that. And we just want to continue to do that by utilizing the culture of care. Next slide, Bill. And here are just the 4 dimensions of mattering theory. The attention, as I mentioned, feeling that sense of belonging, the importance of it, the ego extension, kind of checking in on students and connecting first with them and then teaching them instead of the other way around. And then also that dependence, making sure that the students feel heard. And that really goes a long way with our students here at UAGC. So I'm going to turn it back over to Bill.
Yes, thank you very much. And I remember as you were speaking, it came to the top of my brain where I used to say to the students in the classroom, Lisa, that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. At the end of that classroom, at the end of the class, the course, student gave me a plaque and she inserted, students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So what you just talked about is a huge impact. Bundle that in now with positive psychology. We've got momentum. We've got a force. So we're coming into a very important area right now, and that's diversity and bringing it all together, inclusion. So Sarah, the floor is yours, and I know you are very well knowledgeable and skilled in this area. So we're looking forward to seeing what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bill. Well, I think diversity is one of those topics that is discussed broadly and widely at the moment. And if you could go to the next slide, Bill. Those who are aware of my background as a language instructor are not going to be surprised that I find it necessary to begin with a definition of diversity so that we're all using the word in the same way. Like I said, diversity is one of those words that's used a lot at the moment, and it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So I want to make sure we have a common understanding for our discussion here. So the simplest definition of diversity is a variety. In the DEI space, we often hear of diversity in reference to gender, race, sexuality, socioeconomic status, etc. And this can lead to some confusion about what is meant by diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. But if we hold fast to the notion that at its core, diversity simply means a variety, then we have a working definition that does include everyone. As we take things one step further into the classroom, diversity in the classroom really means variety in the classroom. This variety can be in regards to innumerable learner characteristics. This includes, of course, gender, race, sexuality, socioeconomic status, gender expression, but it also means first-generation status or veteran status, political opinion, geographic location, first language, dominant language, parenting status. I could go on. So diversity awareness, I suggest, is simply an awareness of the diversity that surrounds us. Our classrooms are richer learning experiences when we embrace the myriad diverse identities and opinions of our students and make space for the expression of those identities and opinions. As instructors, it's our job to make the classroom a welcoming and inclusive space where diverse learners can engage in the rigorous academic work of learning alongside with people who are different from themselves. This can be challenging when we assume that diversity or a specific type of diversity is not present because it's not visible or immediately apparent. Bill, if you could go to the next slide. All right, great. As universities continue to push boundaries of inclusion, instructors are more likely to see learners with differing abilities and needs in the classroom. And unlike some other forms of diversity, ability isn't always immediately apparent, which requires instructors to remain curious and unassumptive about learners' ability status. Ability is another form of diversity that our students will encounter at increasing rates throughout their careers. And as instructors, we can model for our students the importance of creative thinking and multiple pathways to a goal in our instruction and through the application of universal design principles, thus modeling for them the importance of including diversity to achieve our goals. Sustained engagement in diversity work can in fact be challenging. It requires that we are constantly aware of ourselves, our identities, those around us, how our identities are the same, how our identities are different. And this needs to be an attentive engagement. It takes effort to do the noticing in an equitable and inclusive way. Author Crystal Hardy Allen really stresses the importance of knowing and naming your why for getting involved in this work. My own personal why is deeply rooted in my own identity and family history. I believe that education provides a path out of poverty and into a life that offers more stability and the opportunity to flourish. And while I don't believe that all education must be formal, I did make my career in higher ed. And so this is the kind of education that I am trying to make more accessible. This deeply personal why sustains me in this work, and I invite you to think about and define your why as well. One approach to increasing, oh, Bill, if you could go to the next slide. One approach to increasing diversity awareness that faculty can take is coined reflection, education, and action by authors Robbie Bishop Monroe and Joanna Garcia. In their framework, reflection is the process of assessing one's own identity, influences, biases, and personal experiences with diversity and privilege. Education involves seeking out information and experiences that can enhance cultural competence, particularly around gaps identified through reflection. And then action refers to the practical steps taken to make classrooms more inclusive, including classroom management and curricular changes. This is an excellent framework for ongoing personal development work. Another complementary approach was suggested by Bill Davis and myself. Be aware, be present, be curious. Following this approach results in openness to our learners in real time and allows us to respond to classroom situations in a positive, diversity-aware way. And this approach to classroom management really embodies the culture of care, the mattering theory, and positive psychology that Lisa and Nancy shared. So Bill, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Well, I thank you for that. And the thing that I just wanted to say, what a great presentation. You talk about being in the moment, self-aware, don't rush to judgment, examine your assumptions, really helps you see a situation. And always, my opinion, always assume positive intent when you're working and teaching in a classroom, because students, as Lisa said, they care, they want to see us engaged with them. So what I just wanted to say was I wanted to thank everyone here for listening to this video, to joining us here. And what we just went over here were the top 3 factors that we believe and research shows that deliver an exceptional student learning experience. And remember them: positive psychology, mattering theory, and diversity and inclusion. Have an inclusive mindset and work with students and see the holistic picture of what's in front of you and how to reach students. I think we've done a great job today. I want to thank the presenters. I was going to say panelists, but the presenters, they did a fantastic job. And we've got something here that we're contributing to the greater good, the culture of care. So that is very meaningful. I'm very passionate about that, very passionate about the culture of care, as I know my colleagues here. So I want to thank you for coming. And what I'd like to say here is that here's our emails. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to engage in more conversation. So I'm just going to ask Sarah and Lisa, any final words that you'd like to say to the audience before we close?
Sarah, did you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks, Lisa. I just wanted to thank everybody for being here today. I think one of the things that I appreciate the most about opportunities to come together in community for things like this culture of care is that we're focusing on our learners as whole people. We're focusing on our learners as whole individuals and their overall wellness, because we know that when our students are well, that they will learn better. So thank you for your time today. Lisa?
I would just like to thank everybody for watching our video, and I want you to take away that realize that students want to know that you think that they matter. And when they know that and they can see that, you will see it shine through at all areas through their academic journey. So never forget that students matter, and never forget to show them that they matter. Bill, turn it back over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Nancy had to leave for a meeting here at the last moment, but I know she would want to say, keep feeding the positive. The best is yet to come. Keep giving your best in your classrooms, and let's keep on uplifting students, equipping them for success. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you later. Have a great Culture of Care Summit. Thank you.